Hey, what's up? This video is going to cover the best diets for Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. It's pretty much going to cover diets that work to heal autoimmune disease. Because this is probably one of the most questions that I get asked the most frequently. People are always asking, hey man, which diet do you think works best? What strategy do you think works best? And I think in all my experience, so all my research, the thousands of people that I've spoken with over the last decade, these are the diets that I think are the most effective. And the proof is in the pudding, because this is what the people that have achieved long-term remission are doing. And in no particular order, it's the GAPS diet and the SCD diet, paleo, the keto diet, and the carnivore diet. And you notice how I didn't mention the vegan diet? I'm going to be super blunt. I think the vegan diet is a complete fad. I don't think it's a good long-term strategy. And in all my research, I haven't been able to find a tribe that survived or came anywhere close to thriving without consuming some form of animal product. So whether that's meat, whether that's fish, whether that is dairy or some other form of animal fat. Can't find it. And I think as time goes on, I think the vegan diet is sort of being exposed for that. Because take a look at most of the experts. When I'm doing research and I look at these vegan experts, what do I see? I see frail people. I don't see muscular people that I want to look like. You know, it seems more to be about a political statement than an actual diet strategy. But hey, if that's the approach you want to take, you got to do what's best for you. I can just say in my experience, very few people that I know have achieved a long-term remission using that diet. But is it possible to improve your health using a vegan diet? Absolutely. I think and when I say this, I want to be very specific. Any diet compared to the standard American diet that improves things, where you're removing processed foods or perhaps you're cooking more at home, that is going to improve your health. But does it improve it long term? I think not. But again, only time will tell. So now getting back to the diets that I mentioned, which are GAPS, SCD, keto, paleo, and the carnivore diet. What do these diets have in common? Well, for the most part, they reduce complex carbs. They remove a good chunk of processed foods. They encourage you to eat real food, to cook at home. You consume animal fat and protein, the building blocks of your body. And this is really important, as they work to restore and improve metabolic function. So are they all equal? Well, I think all of these diets are very similar in nature. It seems like the results vary from person to person. And why would that be? Is I think how you implement these diets is really important. How rigid you follow them is crucial. And knowing when to tweak and adjust is very critical. So which one is the best? Well, each one of these diets has helped people achieve long-term remission. So I'm not going to knock one specifically. I do have my favorite, which I'll mention in other videos, but they all have the potential to work. So regardless of what approach, I found that people that achieve long-term remission usually keep it simple and they stay the course. So what I'm saying is simplicity usually wins. So if you want the best results, keep it simple. I don't know where everybody is on their healing journey, but if I was you and I was new to this, I'd start with fewer foods. I'd establish a safe diet with foods that give you the least amount of symptoms. And once you establish that safe diet, adhere to it for 3 to 6 months. You'll be amazed with your progress. And I pretty much just gave you 3 tidbits that are the secret to healing autoimmune disease, overcoming ulcerative colitis and Crohn's. So listen to it again. Because with most people, when they're adopting some form of diet strategy, what they do is they screw up because they're constantly adding foods. And I've been there. Let's say you have a simple version of a diet with 3 to 5 foods. All of a sudden you feel good for 1 week, and one more week you feel good. You get a little bit more confident with each week that goes by that you're feeling good. And you're like, hey, you know what? I feel good for a few weeks. I'm going to try adding some chips or some French fries or a burger or a pop, a chocolate bar, you name it. You just overdo some version of the food that, a food that's tempting you. Next thing you know, you're feeling crappy. And it's this constant back and forth, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, vice versa. And it ends up, you're not feeling good. You end up feeling crappy. So if I was new to this and I was doing it, if I was in your shoes, I'd be starting with 1 to 3 food items. If you feel good with minimal symptoms, then you can try adding another. And when you add another food, give it 5 days so you can monitor the symptoms. Because if you feel good after 5 days, then you could try adding another one. If you don't feel good, there's a good chance that that food's affecting you and you might want to take it away and see how you feel 5 days later. Because really that's what you're doing. That's what you're tweaking and failing forward, is by adding and removing those foods. But personally, I found that fewer foods might be boring, but it allows the most healing to happen. Because that's really where the magic is finding that sweet spot where you feel good. So the sweet spot where you feel good and there's minimal amounts of symptoms, you want to sustain that period as long as possible. And I say 3 to 6 months because that's where the healing happens. If you're constantly going back and forth, you're not going to be in a healing state. You're just going to be going back and forth, back and forth. And I think that a lot of people ask me about specific diets. I don't even think it necessarily always, they ask me about this diet and that diet. And usually I know, because the secret is to knowing if a diet's going to work to improve autoimmune disease, is it comes down to this. If a diet regulates insulin and blood sugar, it's likely going to reduce inflammation, which means less symptoms and you're going to feel better. It's not a complicated matter. That applies. So whether you're testing yourself or not, and I find I've done a lot of experimentation with like monitoring my blood sugar and my, like, whether it's using a continual glucose monitor or anything like that, you can see for yourself. If it works to improve that, you're usually going in the direction of healing. And those things are all tied. So having spiked glucose all the time, it's going to be more inflammatory. You're going to feel crappy. It's not going to be good for your diet, not going to be good for your overall health. So correcting that usually leads to healing. So now I'm curious for anybody that's watching this video, which diets have you used? Which diets let you feel better? Did you achieve remission? Or which diets did you feel complicated? Let me know in the comments, because I really want to start a discussion here, because the more that I know about your guys' experience, the better that I can create videos, answer questions, and the more value that you get from this channel. So thank you so much for your guys' support, and feel free to reach out anytime. I love to hear from people. Thanks a lot.